I'm Tim, the brand weaver, and this is Branding for Breweries, the podcast that helps you grow your brewery, build a better brand, and connect with more drinkers. Each week, I'm joined by the brightest minds in the beer world, sharing practical tips to help your brewery stand out and sell more beer. Let's get stuck in. What up, 24-hour party people? Happy New Year. It is 2026 or 2026, as most people call it. I don't know why I added the 2000 in, but we are here, we are back, and we are raring to go. I hope you're all rested. I hope you all feel equally awesome. Failing that, you might be freezing your genitals off because it's so gosh darn and cold out there, wearing every possible layer in the brew house, just trying to make things work again. And if you are, God bless you, I tip my hat to you. But maybe the warming tones of my voice will soothe you today, as well as my glorious guest, because we are kicking off 2026 with a bang. We have Mr. Rich Nelson, who is the sales director of not just Salt, but Ossett Brewery as well. Now, only if you've been living under a rock would you not be aware of what Ossett have been doing recently. Of course, Salt is a well-known brand in the market, but one of the main reasons I love these guys is because of the collabs that they put out. Just last year and the year before, we had some incredible metal-themed collaborations. Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, President, the list is endless. And because I am a metaler at heart, I was like, I've got to talk to Rich. I've got to bring him on. We've got to have this good old chinwag about how do you make it more than just this logo on a can thing. So that's enough of me rabbiting, but hopefully Rich is going to really help us dive behind the scenes and give us the ingredients it takes to make a killer collab and ideally something that's going to sell out with the masses. So that's enough of me yabbering. Let's bring Rich to the stage. Woo, Rich!
How we doing, man?
I am good, mate. And you're all right as well, yes?
I'm very good, yeah. Thanks for the intro. Very kind.
Well, you know, I try and big up my guests just so they feel super confident and happy going into this conversation, man. Did you have a fun Christmas?
It was lovely, thank you, yeah. Quiet. I've got 2 kids, so it's not really rock and roll, to be honest, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So a lot of Polar Express, Santa Claus 2, quite a few beers when the kids are asleep, but other than that, quite tame, really. Gone are them days, sadly.
What's your favourite Christmas film, man?
Christmas film, Home Alone 2, every time.
Home Alone 2?
Every time, yeah. Rogue, yeah, love it.
Okay, and the other Christmas question, we'll get it out of the way. Die Hard, is it a Christmas film or not?
Yes, absolutely.
It is.
It's got to be.
Right. Everyone, leave your opinions in the comments. Just rip Rich apart for saying Die Hard's a Christmas film. We'll find out. But that's not what we're here to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to talk about collabs because, Rich, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you guys are smashing the collabs at Salt and Ossett right now, man. How are you feeling about that?
Amazing. I was just saying to you just before we came on, living a dream, really. I'm a massive metalhead, so that helps, I suppose. I love my beer. I love my music. We're combining the two. And I always joke, you know, we didn't choose metal. Metal chose us, which we'll get into in a little bit. Yeah, we haven't purposely gone down that to go through metal. But yeah, it's just so exciting. Every time we do a release, we keep elevating it. And we just get more and more hype. So yeah, dead exciting.
Mate, that just sounds like a phrase out of Wayne's World as well. We didn't choose metal.
It's true.
Final Tap or something, man.
It's genuinely true, but yeah, it's crazy.
And I suppose like that's a really big caveat to start the conversation with, that you can be a brewery and not focus on metal music. You can have your own forms of collaboration, but the conversation we're going to have today is like how you really double down on it and how you make the most of it beyond, like I say, slapping a logo on the can. And I think that's really important because the stuff that you put out there is so much more than a beer. Like, you know, some of the collabs I've seen, especially the President one very recently, it had a real movement behind it. Like, could you talk us through the framework, the structure, the approach that you take when you look at a collab with a band?
Yeah, so I suppose we've been quite fortunate. So the first beer we did was Fight Star. We learned a lot from that release. That was just over 2 years ago. You know, from that, the guys from Bullet saw and got in touch with us and said, you know, would you do a beer with us? It's like, yeah, okay, great. And it just kind of spiraled from there. But I think we've started seeing it beyond beer and started thinking about each time we do these releases, a bit more of a movement. And if the collaboration doesn't have a shared story, values, a reason to exist beyond 2 logos being slapped on a can, people see through it straight away. And I think that's why the Fight Star release was amazing. We did a really good job of that. But we really elevated it with the Bullet and Trivium stuff, and then elevated it again with President. And I suppose that comes from doing things together. So writing the recipe, we don't do email kind of collaborations where possible. Sometimes you've got to due to distance and whatnot, but we want to get in a room with people, want to understand what they're wanting from the releases, arguing over the little details. Energy transfers to the drink, every single time. We met Bullet down in London last year, down in one of our bars in Deptford. They were really keen on doing that, as were we. So we literally just sat for 3 hours, I think. Matt broke his keto diet, which is testament to the quality of our liquid, I suppose, because he was just going to kind of do a sniff and a spit, but he went all in, and we really wanted to get under exactly what they wanted from that release. So how can we create a liquid version of that band, essentially? And we went through not just our beer, we went through competitors' products as well. And we landed on a 666, 6.66% supercharged heavy IPA, because that's something they liked. And I think that story, that message transferred through on that occasion, and it has done with Trivium as well and with President.
Man, there's so much to unpack just in that opening statement.
Sorry, I do that a lot.
It's okay. Like, we've just gone through everything in 5 minutes. You nailed it. No, I suppose this is the big thing. Like, a lot of people are familiar with seeing collaborations between breweries. One, set of brewers will go over to another one, and they're speaking the same language. They're talking beer, so they know the kind of beer they want to make, but nothing more. It doesn't go any bigger than that. So why is it so important, in your opinion, that, take Bullet, for example, you sat down face to face with the team, you guided them through the flavors, and then obviously landing on 666, a number of the beasts, there's a logical tie in there. But why is that so important, like you say, versus just going, hey, let's just call it the Bullet drink or whatever you want?
Yeah, because I suppose that's true collaboration, whereas not just approval. Whereas, if we did just do that and it was, let's just do a white label, that's more of an approval. And I think people see straight through it. So the little cues that we do with each of the beers, we want a huge part of the band or the collaborator to be part of that. We don't want to just do these email collaborations. It makes no sense. People see straight through it. So even down to the little cues that they added, like the little Welsh dragon in the corner, the signatures embossed on the can, it just adds to everything, and people are buying a bit of a movement more than just a liquid, essentially.
And did you have like a kind of a checklist of touch points that you had to go through? Because naturally you've got to get a style that reflects the collaboration. Then you talk about the signatures that go on the cans, but little visual touch points. I know with President, there was a whole digital, kind of bundle that went with it as well. Do you have a tick box, or are you and the team just working out on the spot what feels right for each collaboration?
Yeah, it's the latter. So I think we started really strong with the Fight Star beer. So the Fight Star beer came out of nowhere, really. It was their 20th anniversary show. It was a one-off, they've kind of gone back in. They won't be touring anymore. It was just a one-off hit. And we did some things that I'd probably changed now looking back compared to what we did with the most recent. So we kind of made a joke with the name Pale Newix Laughter instead of Palanewix Laughter. And there were just loads of different cues to the band. On the back, there was a big spiel around the liquid, the style, the taste, the aroma, but we linked it into the song lyrics. So we had like, this will give you a sharp tongue and hazy eyes and things like that, which again just added to the whole piece. And people were buying it. What I love about these releases, which we'll get into, again, I'm doing it again, Tim, forgive me, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but we're creating these moments where a lot of the drinkers or the people that are purchasing this product probably aren't craft drinkers, which is amazing for us. And that's what I love to see on Untapped and whatnot, when people are saying, never heard of this brewery or whatever else, but this is amazing. I bought this because of this band or this collaborator, but now I'm going to search these out even more. And we're seeing that more and more each time.
And like, fine, you skipped ahead. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Let's just go off piste, man. We'll just go off track. Rock and roll. So one thing I noticed with the President release is from an identity side of things. By the way, for those people who haven't seen the President can or aren't familiar, actually, I think this is probably important to give a bit of context. Rich, do you want to give people a bit of background around who President is or what President is and how that came about? And then I'll go into my question off the back of it.
Yeah, so President are probably the hottest ticket in metal, in kind of metalcore music this year. They're masked. You don't know who it is. So there's that element to it. The music, they've got, I think something like 2 million Spotify streams in 2 months or something like that. it's such a hype band. You know, we went to Download, not just to watch them. We got invited by Bullet as well. Just drop that in. We got invited by Bullet to watch them, which was amazing. And we caught President, and it was probably just as busy as the Bullet gig. Like, you couldn't get in the tent. It's just so much hype surrounding this band. And Morrison's came to us, 6 months ago, saying, look, we're wanting a really big play, a big hype release. What do you recommend? You know, what we're wanting something akin to, you know, something like the Aunt Bessie stuff that Northern Monk did an amazing job on. So we were like, look, we've got something. We weren't going to release it in the malts, but we felt it was a really good opportunity to get Rat, because this was under the Ossett and Rat banner, into malts, and we did an amazing job with it, really. I mean, it's just gone absolutely ballistic. But yeah, the band themselves, there's a lot of hype around it, and there's a lot of hype around this beer. So the two things work really well together.
And dude, I was at Download. I was outside of the tent. I couldn't.
Oh, really?
In. I was watching people faint left, right, and centre because it was too ruddy hot. But coming back to my question, obviously, President have this mystique. They have the mask and stuff, but they've got a strong identity. They use the cross, so it's very black, very minimal. And when you look at the collab can release, the actual Ossett identity is quite minimal on it. You've got the Rat, which is quite small at the top. And like you say, it's the first time that Ossett did something like this. Was that quite intentional to go, right, let's let the President hook be more dominant and like Rat is a bit more complementary? Or was it just that laid out a little bit better that way?
I think because we do collaborate with the bands that we've done and many others away from just the band releases, we want what's right for the collaborator just as much as us. And I think what we couldn't do is go into the President's world. They kind of created a law, very much like Sleep Token and things like that. So when we discussed things with the band, we wanted to make it an item that looked like it could live in their lore, essentially. It wasn't a big brash branded can that wouldn't fit in with their vibe. And there was a lot of back and forth in a positive light. You know, we've got the Ossett around the back, so we always had the beautiful big red square on there. But then we had the Rat just at the top. So yeah, it was totally intentional. And I think it just, in the fridge, when you see it in the Morrison's fridges and it's lit up with the pink cross and whatnot as well, it just pops. I think the simplicity, they're not a noisy band. Well, they are from a music point of view, but from a branding point of view, it's all very simple and just very slick. And we wanted to kind of complement that more than anything.
And do you think that's important, that as a brewery or a brewery brand, especially when collaborating with other brands outside the brewery space, you almost have to leave ego at the door because you're hoping that the collaboration is going to do potentially a fair bit of the heavy lifting depending on who you're collaborating with?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I think each time we've done it, we continue to get better at that as well. So like I said, the 5-star release was amazing. The Bullet and the Trivium stuff did amazingly well. Totally different avenues that would push that product. It was more of a free trade SKU for us, so we sold it on our web shop. But then the President piece going into Morrison's was just mad. Absolutely manic, yeah.
And sold out left, right, and centre as well, which
it was. And look, was it intentional that? I'd be lying if I said yes or no, I suppose. You know, what the band do really well with their music, their EPs, and also their merch is sell out, and it creates a next level of hype around it, and people wanting it and desiring it. And you never. I watched James's piece with you a few weeks back about the cardinal sin of going out of stock, but I think it probably didn't need help, the release, but I think it probably did. Once it started hitting them again, people were like, I need to fill my shelves because this is going to go again. And it just created a new level of hype around the product, which is amazing.
Dude, I even got sucked into it, and I should be used to this stuff by now. But
I was the same when I work here.
So I suppose not every brewery is going to be lucky enough to land a 5-star or to kind of open the doors to collaboration avenue with them. But was there any consideration for like, okay, this does feel like a good suit, a good fit for what would have been Salt at the time, I suppose, the 5-star piece. Like what would your advice be to other breweries out there who go, maybe they've been, approached by certain brands and they're just trying to work out, is this the right fit for us? Or do we hold off and try and go down a different route? Yeah,
I suppose if you can link the two things together. So if the partner already lives in your world in some way, from an attitude, an edge, same sense of humor, it works. If you have to explain the collaboration, it's wrong. in my eyes. A key factor for us is whether both sides are willing to put skin in the game, and that's what we've been quite fortunate with, that both sides are bringing something to the party. It's not just an approval, it's a collaboration, and that's something that we're really big on here. So real collaborations involve things like compromise. So if one side wants their logo on something and the other side doesn't, fans will see straight through it. It's just that authenticity piece around the co-creation of each thing that we're doing, and it starts at the liquid. And that's what I like about what we do here. We are very precise in what we want to do. So, the Trivium beer, speaking, that was tougher because they are based in Florida. So I'm all right here waxing lyrical about email collaborations and whatnot, but we did a lot of Skype calls with the guys because, there's a big ocean in between us. And they put a lot of time into it, which is amazing. And we fell on a 4% rice lager. Matt Heafy, his background is he's half Japanese. So, that's the style of beer that he goes for. Again, just ticks so many boxes because fans will know that and understand that. And then it just creates a whole new level of authenticity with the product, really.
And the other thing that we haven't touched on is, of course, like the benefit not only of creating like collectible merch, but with the Bullet and Trivium stuff, that was to align with their tour that they were co-headlining at the time. And even the Fight Style stuff was pouring at the gigs, right? So that's just another market who are being introduced to, I suppose, the Brewery brand because they know the bands at that point. So that's got to be wicked. Yeah,
it's great. The King of Terrors, that was for the EP, for President as well. So everything's got a purpose. We're not just kind of pulling it out of the ground and going, oh, look, it's got two names on it. And I think that's why we're kind of creating a bit of a movement every time that we do something. And that's why it becomes a bit more collectible. And the level of intricacy that we go on to with the liquid and the can, the product, the way that we market it as well, it feels more personal to the fan. And that's the big thing for us. Just doing a white label of, if we did a white label with someone, it just didn't feel right. It's not something we want to be involved in. We think people will see straight through it.
I think that's a really interesting one that I hadn't contemplated. Like, it's all well and good having a collab, but then timing the collab to signify something going on, with either of the brands is so very important. Because like you say, it does make it more collectible. Like, you've got musicians, certain metal band fans are just mental. They want every bit of merch under the sun. So I get why it's sold out, but it has to be the same, I suppose, with like sports teams, other kind of artists, those who have a bit of a cult following. And you've got all this stuff that happens yearly or releases and events. So tapping into that, because it must be so exciting to just be like, oh, someone wants to collab with me. Let's just get it out there. Like actually taking a moment to pause and go, okay, yes, let's collab, but when's the right time to drop this for the best impact is a really key point, mate.
Yeah, totally. And I think going back to the kind of memorabilia piece as well, we deliberately do things now, like build in the signature. We build in visual nods to the collaborator. So in this case, obviously the Poison with Bullet, it had the Poison album artwork on there. It had Ascendancy's artwork on there, the same font, the same finish, everything about that beer. And then the embossing of the signatures as well was just mega, like to get that on there. It excited all us at the brewery as well. We were just dead excited by the prospect. And those details start acting like Easter eggs to some degree, especially with the President one. That's where we started getting really cute. Like, we didn't market the fact that the cross turned pink. That's why I had to actually message you. I thought
Dude, you DM'd me on Instagram.
Tim not noticed the best bit about this product, but that we like that in a way because again, it is a bit of an Easter egg. We packed so many things. Morrison said, "Can you create something that's just going to be next level?" And we packed about 5 different USPs into this one product. We in December we won the Design and Innovation Award over at Morrison's for that, which is just remarkable. Yeah, we got invited, myself and Ed, our managing director, to Morrison's supplier dinner, which was amazing in itself. We were just absolutely thrilled to be asked. There's a lot of suppliers for someone like a Morrison's, and little old Ossett got invited, and we were just delighted to be there, genuinely. And then to win an award, there was only 5 awards that night. And we're next to people like, Goliath in not just in the beer industry, but in industry, in supplying supermarkets. So to be recognised for that product, for design and innovation, it's just testament to what we've done as a business, I suppose. Every single element of our business was involved in that. And they've got a piece of that award, which is amazing.
That's phenomenal. Yo,
I just want to take a second out of Branding for Breweries to make you aware of something. For those of you who don't know, outside of hosting Branding for Breweries, writing the book Branding for Breweries, I also provide independent breweries with hands-on support with their branding, design, and marketing. In fact, it's even better than that because it's not just me, it's a whole bunch of awesome independent brewery folks who are dedicated to doing the very best for each and every independent brewery. The team have worked with some incredible breweries like Northern Monk, Ossett, Brains, Pillars, all over the globe, and gaining results like doubling revenue, winning Rebrand of the Year, even gaining over 7 million views on the TikTok channel. So if you're looking to level up your brewery's branding and marketing this year, drop us a message over at www.thebrandweavercollective.com and a member of the team will get back to you and we can have a chat. Now, back to the show.
And it really, I think it speaks testament to the collaboration, because I would imagine you've got people who don't even like beer who now have the President can on their shelf somewhere, they have the Bullet can somewhere. That's a hell of an achievement when it comes to collaboration and just the design of it, right?
Yeah, it's really nice. And I think we're kind of opening up the category, not just a supermarket craft in general. I don't want to kind of overplay that, but I think there is some truth in it. Craft is from an on-trade sense, probably about 3% of the on-trade beer market, really. So if you use that number into metal fans in general, and just think, well, look, if 3% of metal fans are actually touching craft, and then we got X amount coming through the door to Morrison's to try this product, we're opening up people's minds to different elements of the beer market. I probably have overplayed it a little there, but I do generally think there's some truth in that. I've had people message me saying I wouldn't usually drink that. It's 7%. The President beer was a 7% New England IPA. That isn't going to be liked by the masses who are usually into gin and tonic or macro lager. But we've had so many people messages saying I wouldn't usually drink that, but I absolutely love it. You've opened us up to a totally new area of the on trade / off trade as well. So it's good.
And you might not have the data, but do you know how much, like, something every time you drop a release like the Bullet, Trivium, President Fight Style, how many more kind of brand followers do you get off the bat? And I'm not talking social, but those who jump onto an online store and go, right, I need to put an order in and so on.
I don't know. I don't know the exacts. I mean, when we launched it on a Monday, the President beer, which is looking back, a bizarre time to launch a beer, right? I think we were just kind of dipping his toe. We had to literally turn the website off after 4 hours. We did in 4 hours, and this doesn't include Morrison's, we did what we usually do in a month in 4 hours from an Ossett point of view. So we had to stop. We're like, oh no, this has gone ballistic. And we had stock. Like we knew the power of, the previous 3 that we've done and the influx of orders that we got. We got extra people in the warehouse ready to pick it, ready to ship it. But yeah, we did that much. It was wild, absolutely wild.
And how much hype and build up did you do before it was available to buy on Monday?
A week before, I think, this President one. So the Bullet, there's a layer of complexity with President, obviously, because of the lore and the kind of the masks, etc. With Bullet and Trivium, it was a little bit easier because they were bought in. We got videos with them. They were talking about it because it wasn't just about the beer. It was about the Poison. It was about the Ascendancy album. It was about the tour. And we were just one part of that, which was great. And it worked for us. So we met Bullet so many times. It was an absolute genuine dream come true for me personally and many at the brewery. So we went down to their studio in Chesterfield. We shot some awesome content of them talking, not just about the beer, but the Poison and the last 20 years, what it means to them, how the collaboration came about. Again, that all built kind of credence around what we were doing. And then we got these awesome shots of them kind of turning the can round with the music playing, absolutely blaring. That's the only thing we put out, I think, 2 weeks before for the Bullet and Trivium. It was tricky with Trivium because, again, they're across the ocean. So they were amazing. We shot our own content with our own team that we got in, with them turning the cans and getting all the different bits. And we just sent that to Trivium and said, could you replicate this? Is this something you can do? And they did it. They did it within 3 days, I think, and it was seamless. It was like we used the exact same team to fly over to Fort Lauderdale and get the content. And a funny little story, actually. So Trivium were talking about the beer. Can I swear on this podcast? It's only a little.
By all means, mate. It's a beer podcast. So,
fine,
yeah.
Sweet. So I literally got a text message, WhatsApp at 3 a.m. and it was the video that they sent through. It was their people. It was like, does this look okay? And I played it, and Paulie, who's the bass player, they're all cracking it open, trying it for the first time, the actual liquid that was shipped to them. So we canned it, we shipped it after we got all the approvals on the designs, shipped it to them. 2 days later, they had it in the hand. They did some really cool content, kind of off the cuff, going, "Oh, you need to buy this, it's amazing," which really helped things. But then they opened it up, tried it, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, amazing." And Paulie described the beer as fresh piss. So I was like, I didn't sleep. It's 3 a.m. He was like, fresh piss. And I was like, that's not good. So I went back that morning like a bumbling Hugh Grant British guy, like, "Oh, thank you so much for the feedback. Do you not like the beer?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's amazing." Apparently that's what they call it in the States. It means it's just really fresh. it's nice. So like, okay, we're gonna have to cut that out, guys. In the UK, we describe other brands as that. So that's not gonna work. So yeah, they did cut it out, to be fair to them. But yeah, the content that we got, there was a lot of continuity between it. So even the design of them turning the can round with the music blaring in the background, there was loads of just little Easter eggs like that. The President one, they led. So, they're very minimalist in what they do. So on their tiles on Instagram, you can see very, very minimalist. There's not much kind of character to it other than the music, the lore, the merch, the music, which is great. That works for them. And that's why there's so much hype around that band. They literally just posted a picture, I think, of President stood with, and then it flickered with a rat. That was the first taster on that one. So again, it just caught people. People like, what is this? I've got to find out what that rat is, which is the white rat logo on the back. And then it moved into just a still, and it was a really kind of blurry pink with the pink cross just in loads of ice, a can. That was it. That is literally all we did. So it just shows how much kind of hype surrounding that band, which is amazing, which really helped it. So yeah, President was a lot less, but we kind of got a lot more for that, if that makes sense. We got so much content with the Bullet and the Trivium guys, which was amazing because we could continue to push it. We sold that beer for a year. So that's how long the tour went for, the Poison Ascendancy tour, or thereabouts. Whereas with President, we've been doing it for 3 months, and I think we've sold out countless times, and that was on 2 posts essentially, which is crazy.
Again, it just speaks to the testament of the power of who you're collaborating with can really raise something above. And it doesn't have to be a metal band. You've got, like I say, other creatives or other people in the public eye who are probably just as influential as your next hype band or lore-based band. But it's really interesting to hear, as you say, you've taken those learnings each and every time. And that's got to be a massive takeaway. I assume when the next collab drops with whoever it is, you've already got like, well, we know that worked, or we don't need to do as much of that coming up.
Yeah, it keeps getting better. And I think we're more confident each time as well. We've got genuinely a remarkable team. From bottom up, the entire team at Ossett and Sol are phenomenal. From marketing to production to sales and everything in between. It's just clicked. Everything's clicked last year in a big way. And I feel like every time that we do these releases now, we're just also confident, and it shows in the releases, in the way that we're marketing it online, the social media. Everything we do is just class. It's just exciting. And genuinely, I'm not just saying it, everyone's just as excited this side as they are, from a consumer point of view as well. And I think that shows we're having fun, and it's beer at the end of the day. It's just beer. Have fun. It should be, it is fun. Have fun. And that's exactly what we're doing.
I was going to say, people probably don't think too much about the internal culture side of things, but that's got to do wonders for the team, especially like you say, there's a bunch of metalheads in the brewery already. Yeah. They must just feel so much more attached or psyched by their job, knowing it's now attached to these other brands as well, that people just want to stick with you, right?
I think so. And even those people that don't necessarily like the music, I think they understand the gravitas that it brings, and the size of these artists that we're working with. It brings pride, and people work on things that mean something. And our brands, we're a 25-year plus old brewery at Ossett. We've been doing craft beer since '98, so we are very proud about what we do. But this is just something different, just different level, really. I think it's buoyed the entire team at points, and everyone at the business has been involved in the releases. We have a WhatsApp group where people just bounce ideas in constantly, and we might not use 99% of it, but that 1% that we do use, people are buoyed by that. It's like, that was my idea. I was part of that. And all these different things, if you look at the President can, color changing can, on pack promotion for a signed print, hand signed print by President, 50 of, first band release in supermarket. There's so many different things to this beer. And that wasn't one person, that was the entire team, and everyone's bought in and absolutely love it, which is great. We with the Bullet and Trivium stuff, the entire brew team got invited to one of the gigs in Co-op in Manchester, and they met the band. I've got these, they brought all the different EPs and stuff to get signed. Everyone just like little kids at Christmas. They really were. I've got some awesome photos, and Padge, the guitarist from Bullet, saw Gary, who's our head brewer. He only met him that once, and we saw him at Download again, and Padge recognised Gary. So again, it was made up like that, as he would be. You've got one of the best modern metal guitarists going, Gary, how are you? And it's like, that was 7 months ago, Padge. You probably had quite a few beers since then, which Padge definitely will have. It's just little bits like that. Yeah, everyone's very proud about what we're doing. And yeah, long may it continue.
Dude. So if you're a brewery, you've kind of gone, right, I found a collaboration that's going to work. It's not another brewery. It's a different space. They've got clout in the industry that they're in. We've sat down, we've had a genuine collaboration. We know what reflects this brand well. We're going to really make sure it's reflected on the can. We're going to do the right level of promo beforehand. How do you keep that kind of execution going after release? Because it must be all well and good going, finally it's out there, let the public do its work and buy it, but you've still got to keep turning the handle, right?
Yeah, I suppose. And the Bullet and the Trivium stuff, we made the conscious decision to continue selling it because tour went for a full year. So it was in people's face, not because of us and what we were doing, but because the bands were promoting it so much. The President EP, it was out September, I think it was. So, I think in 2 or 3 months, the President beer might see its demise. I think, it is slowing down as you'd expect. And I think it's understanding that and accepting that, it's had its time in the sun. It's not going to be here forever. And again, that's a good thing, because you want to create the hype, and you can't have hype on something that's just there forever. So I think it's just understanding the right time to kind of call it a day with the brand. We do massive, social. We've got amazing social media team led by Grace, and we've got such in-depth, plans each time we release something, and how we launch it, how it's seen out in trade and whatnot. And again, I suppose it depends where you're launching it to. So President was Morrison's. It was all about Morrison's and our web shop. They were the big two things that we needed to push. So getting content pushed through on Mozza beers and things like that, and just having a lot of continuity with the release, I suppose, is dead important.
And of course, you've got two brands to play with. You've got Salt and Ossett. Moving forward into 2026, I'm sure you've got collaborations out there waiting to happen. How do you decide which brand each one sits underneath now?
It's a really good question. So I won't share too much. We've got a 10-point kind of program on how we accept collabs, or is it the right thing to do? So we're not just doing an ego collab. We've got a 10-point program where we kind of go, right, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? If it gets 7 out of 10 or above, it's in. If not, it's probably not for us. Salt is pop culture. Salt is kind of loud, brash, in your face, like the liquid in some way, shape, or form. So do that undercut from a different cloth. So that isn't just musicians. Magician would be cool. So we kind of created this area of what we do under Salt. So obviously Salt is all about textiles, being based in Saltaire. Titus Salt, who was an amazing kind of guy back in 1800s, for those who don't know the story around Salt, who created fabrics. So everything harks back to fabric. Jute being out one of our best-selling products is a fabric, all our core range fabric, etc. So we go undercut from a different cloth. So away from the bands, last year we did some beers with Mike Stockings, who's an amazing tattoo artist down in Suffolk. I've got it on my leg, so I got a free tattoo as well, which is pretty awesome. So I've got a dragon tattoo with the hexagon on there, and we did a dragon fruit beer for that. Again, a lot of back and forth with Mike and that team to understand what he wanted to do to kind of illustrate what he's about. We've done beers with Salt for 7 Clean Seas, which is an ocean saving charity, which do amazing work in the South China Sea. We've just done a beer with Big Potato Games under Salt as well. So to answer your question eventually, Salt is more around pop culture, and I suppose it depends what the band or the artist want. You know, if they come to us saying, look, we want to do X, Y, and Z, we'll look at what's the right fit for us as well. And that's the beauty. We've got two breweries firing on all cylinders. We have got options in a positive light, and it's what we want as much as the collaborator. Rat felt right with President because we are wanting to scale Rat. You've seen this year last year, keep doing that. Last year, what we did with the Rat brand, you know, some of the releases, some of the quick wins that we've had in supermarkets, because people are interested and intrigued by what we're doing here at Ossett, trying to move away from being known as a cask regional brewer. We're not that. We're a craft brewer in its own right. We do 80% of what we do is cask, but it's still craft. You know, we've been doing this a long time. Salt is, as I say, more pop culture, high tempo, things that's just fun, basically.
Slightly off topic, but I am curious. Obviously, by diversifying the Ossett brand now, what impact is that having on the cask 80%? Like, are you seeing more people brought into Ossett because of the New England IPAs and whatnot, and then going, oh, interesting, they've got a bitter and bits and bobs as well?
Absolutely. So, like, I love, you know, a lot of people don't like reading the Untapped reviews. I love it, especially on Ossett, because not a lot of the time, but a lot of the new releases, people have gone not heard of Ossett if it's in the craft circles, because we haven't done that kind of craft before. You know, 9% beers, 8% beers, sours. So people to kind of write on there saying this is amazing. Didn't think Ossett had this in their locker. We've always had it in his locker. We just haven't. You know, we've had Salt kind of do that element for us, but we just kind of wanted to we think there's a lot of legs in Rat, and I think it's been proven this last year what we've done with Rat and whatnot. But yeah, basically the Untapped reviews don't lie. It's quite exciting that a lot of people might not have heard of Ossett, but it starts their journey with Ossett. And if they buy a Punch Rat, which is a pina colada 6.7, I think it is, it's just gone into Sainsbury's, they might see it on the Sainsbury's shelves. And then when they're at the Dog and Duck and they see White Rat or Ossett Blonde or Bar Guest, they instantly recognise the brand. And there's a lot of follow through on each, which is great, exactly what we're looking for.
And are you anticipating a bit of a challenge now that you've got two powerhouse brands to work with, really, with quite a bit of overlap in the Venn diagram spaces where you can both do keg, do some crazy stuff? You know, is that going to be a challenge keeping them both raising at the same point, or are you strategically focusing on one more than the other?
No, they both get the same love. We've got a really expansive team. Obviously, we've got the collaboration with Alpacalypse. So Alpacalypse is doing a hell of a lot. You know, fastest growing craft brand in the UK. Number 2, I think, in volume sense. Number 1, if it's independent craft. So I think there's a lot of focus there for Alpacalypse, and you know, we're still continuing the MPD for Salt as well. It's just a bigger job for me, which is great.
Dude, the whole Apocalypse thing is another podcast.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
30,000 glasses that have been stolen?
Yeah, sadly. But, you know, we wanted that. Again, that's purposeful. You know, we wanted that to happen. That's why they look so damn good. And that, again, that's part of that story, I suppose.
I think this does nod back to like kind of the Easter eggs and the detail that you're putting into the work that you put out. But I love the little, like, there's a select range in the glasses now, isn't there? That
yeah.
What is it if they find a certain phrase or something?
I think it stole from the pub, I think. So we anticipated X amount would be stolen, but we were blown away by the actual amount. And again, we don't mind it. You know, it's going back to like the Peroni effect years ago. Peroni wanted you to steal their glass because if you're drinking orange juice out of it at home, you're probably more than likely going to be reaching for it when you go to the pub. So yeah, we don't mind it. It's a good thing.
Dude, let's wrap this up, mate. But like, I could genuinely talk to you for hours. This is the problem. Any pitfalls? Like, what could you advise people who are going into collabs or they've got a collab on their books for 2026? Things that you're like, don't entertain that, or make sure you're ticking boxes X, Y, and Z.
I'd say don't say yes out of ego. You know, I've been close sometimes, if I'm honest, and you know, I've kind of had a talking to by the team. It's like, you know, this isn't right, because we like I say, we've had opportunities to work with various different people, and again, if the time's not right, commercial pressures, people will see through it. It'll feel hollow. Don't agree to timelines or volumes that compromise quality as well. Again, I've been, you know, keen sometimes on pushing pushing stuff through quite quickly, and then I kind of sit down with my peers in production and marketing. It's like, it's just not the right time, you know. And everything I've been talking about for the last 40-ish minutes, it will compromise that. So everything we've done on the last 4 band collabs, we've done it, we've planned it out meticulously. And if you rush things through, it'll just feel hollow. Don't assume shared understanding as well with the collaborator. That's a big one, because, you know, spell out your expectations early, creatively and commercially specifically. You know, that could be a big one. Misalignment would kill collaboration quietly but effectively, I think. And, you know, we've been quite fortunate that we have put the time and effort into that latter segment, and we've happily nailed it, which is great.
And for those breweries who, you know, they're looking for their version of the fight style of an incredible metal band to collaborate with, but it might not be metal, as I say, how would you suggest they go about finding their version of fight style for them?
I just find a common, you know, a common thread between yourselves. I think looking back, I think Turning Point did a Bowling for Soup collab a few years back, which was epic. You know, they did American Red Ale. So again, that's straight away for me, you know, US band based in Texas, American Red Ale. There's a lot of synergy there. It's not just a 4% lager, you know, because that's what we do anyway, and we can just put a label on it. You know, I think that's the big thing for me. But yeah, it's just finding a lot of synergy between yourselves and the collaborator, I suppose, and finding some common ground. You know, I mentioned Big Potato Games, which is a collaborator that we worked with last month with Herd Mentality. The best team. Like, we just reached out on email saying, look, we've got a really cool idea. Would you be keen on doing a beer with us? And they are just genuinely the nicest business to work with. They came up, they brewed the beer with us, which again, massive tick from what I've been saying in the last 45 minutes. Did you see that one, Herd Mentality, the 4.5?
Dude, yeah, I reached out to the team and thought it was a wicked idea. Loved it.
It's mega, and then you scan it, you scan the can, you get a free digital version of it. So again, a lot of synergy there, and we're talking to them guys about what else we could do as well. So it can be as simple as an email saying, look, we've got an idea, would you guys be keen? And just finding common ground, I suppose. And we've managed to do that quite well. I feel quite fortunate because we're a few kind of steps down the line now, where the wheels are moving with us, and you know, it gets easier every single time. I just say don't feel disheartened if it's a no or if it's not a reply. Just keep going, you know, and find that synergy.
Dude, I think that was an important point, actually. You can't just reach out to someone and go, you want to do a collab. Like, you've got to go with, like, let's do this because it's going to work, like an idea behind it.
Absolutely. And again, I don't want to keep talking specifically about our marketing team, but the marketing team we have is quite special. You know, Liam, who ran with the Herd Mentality stuff, that was his project, and he's big into his board games. And we all sat down saying, what should we do next? And Liam had various amazing ideas. I won't share them now because we might use some of them, but he had various, and this was one of them. And we just thought, what a great idea that you can buy a beer, share it with your friends, you know, buy 4, share it with your friends, and actually play a digital version as well. Is that first? It probably feels like it is, again, another craft industry first. But he reached out with a full breakdown of what we can bring, what they can bring, and what it can commercially bring. So that's important too. I know that's the cold light of day piece around the numbers, but if there's no numbers behind it, then there's no collaboration really. That's the important stuff that's quite icky, but it's dead important. So yeah, that's another big piece, is just having everything there to spell out exactly what the collaboration is going to bring them as well as yourself.
I did final question, and that you don't have to give a lot away, but how many collabs can we expect from you and the team this year? I'm not asking for names because you probably can't tell me anything, but there's got to be some exciting stuff on the cards. Yeah,
there's loads. You know, I skipped out of my door today. It's my first day back, and genuinely skipped out the door to crack on. So we've got various collaborations with breweries this year. So that's Cask and Keg, which, I mean, amazing collaborations. Really exciting. But then away from that, we've probably expect about 5, 6, I'd say, from both businesses, from Salt and from Ossett. Some are going to be sooner than others. And yeah, you should see quite a lot from us again this year. We're going to be quite noisy again, which is quite exciting.
Dipping the toe back into metal, you keeping that theme going?
Maybe.
He's like a rock, this man. You're not getting anything out of him. Looks like we'll just have to follow along, man. That's all we can do. Rich, again, mate, thank you so much. I appreciate, like, you've only just got back to the office today. It's the beginning of the year, dude. But it's been a wicked chat. I'm a big fan of the brand, and well, the brand's plural, and the work that you're doing. So if someone doesn't know about Ossett or Salt, where can we direct them to check it all out before we wrap this up?
Socials is a good place. So Ossett Brewery on Instagram, Salt Beer Factory for the salt stuff. The stuff that's coming out of those two channels at the minute is just great. Again, it's just really exciting. I'm excited to see what we're posting about as well, which again is testament to the work that the team are putting in down there in marketing or on our website, which is ossettbrewery.co.uk or saltbeerfactory.co.uk.
Nice one, my man. Again, I've said it many times, but thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
All good.
And
Appreciate
everyone, you're welcome. Everyone who's taking the opportunity to listen in right now, thank you so much. Those of you who are going to listen to it in the future, this is Tim from the past, thanking you in the future. You rock. Everyone stay awesome, and I'll see you on the next episode of Branding for Breweries. Rock on.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of Branding for Breweries. If you got something great from it, hit follow, like, and subscribe on your favorite streaming app. Or even better, leave a review, share it with your brewery pals, or get in touch, because I want to chat to you. Rock on!